All right, so let's continue the remote mission. So the very first thing, the very first step that you need to take is identify a list of platforms that you basically can apply through. There's basically two options. You can either find a list of companies which are hiring remotely by going to Google, searching through that, basically reinventing the wheel, or you can use platforms which are doing that for you. They're doing a lot of effort in finding or curating a list of remote jobs across the globe for you. What you need to do is find the platforms which are fit for your particular niche, because not all of these platforms have remote jobs for all kinds of roles, right? You might be a developer, you might be in sales, you might be in marketing, and for example, there are some platforms which are for developers only, or which are laser focused on Python developers or data scientists or machine learning engineers, so on and so forth. So you need to find the right platform which advertises for roles which are fit for your particular niche. In this video, what we're going to do is have a look at a list of different platforms. And in this one, I won't be diving deep into any individual platform, because that is step number two, which is you need to understand the process through which each of these different platforms hire through, like what stages you have to go through for each of them. We'll cover that more in the next video, but for this one, let's go through the list of platforms. I will add a link to them in the description as well. And in the end of the video, I will also share two companies where I have seen people get hired for remote jobs from across the globe. And they're pretty good. I will share those at the end as well. But first, let's have a look at the platforms. So very first one is Crossover. I'm sharing this as the first one because this is somewhere that I actually have worked myself for about 4 years. And let's have a look at what kind of jobs they basically have available. So you can go to job seekers and then remote jobs. They've got a lot of different kinds of jobs available, right? So there's ones for developers, designers, web developers, general software engineers. There's also VP, SVP level positions. I think they have this interim CEO, some sort of positions like that available too. Likely towards the end. Yeah, CEO in training at Trilogy, for example. And you've got filters through which you can basically decide which kind of jobs you're looking for. So, for example, sales, engineering, if you're in finance, you can just select those filters and then have a look at the jobs which are relevant to you. Now, they've also shared what their hiring process is. This should be over here, right? You can have a look at this over here, or I will be sharing more details, my personal experience in one of the coming videos as well. So that's one platform. Then you have Turing. So Turing for developers, let's go there. Then we'll look at job opportunities, and you can quickly get an idea that if you're, for example, in sales or you're in HR or marketing, this is not the platform for you. But if you're a developer, then you can have a look at what kind of companies they're interacting with, which kind of companies they're hiring for. And in this case, one of the key things about them is that they do not really advertise the pay that they're going to have for each of the different roles. So that's basically going to be negotiation at an interview stage. In case of Crossover, for example, we were seeing remote jobs and you were seeing the pay that comes with each of the roles. And the pay is exactly what is advertised. You don't get paid less than that based on the location, and you also can't negotiate a higher salary to the best of my knowledge. So there are these two, and this one, like I said, is mainly for developers. And even in that, I would say not exactly web developers, mostly Python, data scientists, machine learning engineers. I mean, that's the roles that I've mostly seen advertised at Turing. There might be, of course, exceptions. Then comes Toptal, and over here they also have a broad list of different categories that they hire for. There's developers, designers, finance experts, marketing experts, product managers, project managers. So if you're one of these, then this should be in your list of platforms through which you apply for remote jobs. And in their case, I believe they have contract-based hiring, and by that I mean in case of Turing or Crossover, I believe it's also contract based, but the contract does not really have a time limit. So it's basically you're an employee, but you're classified as a contractor, so they're able to hire you from anywhere, not just their own country. But in this case, the contract I believe is time bound. So it's like a 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year contract, and then you get a new client and so on and so forth. So you're basically sort of working with Toptal and getting hired through them. So yeah, have a look at this one as well. See if they advertise for the kind of roles that you are looking for. If it is, then add that to your list as well. And by list, what I mean is don't just add it to like a mental list, create a new list like this, right? And over here, just add the platforms, right, which you think are advertising for roles which suit you. So for example, go with something like this. You add Crossover because it hired developers. You add Turing because it hires developers. You add Toptal, for example, because it hires developers. And this is stage one of your search. Then third one, or actually fourth one I'm sharing is WellFound. And by the way, this list is not something novel that I'm sharing. You can find these listicles all across LinkedIn or Twitter, wherever you go. There are people sharing this list all together. But these are the ones which I found to be, somewhat credible, who are not just charging you a subscription or something of that sort, but they're actually getting paid when you get hired. So they basically, the financial model is something like they get paid from the employer who hires you whenever there's a successful conversion, let's say. I will share a few examples of those which are basically going to charge you as well. And my personal preference in those cases is to not go with those platforms, because you've got like a huge number of options that you can go with to search for jobs. So you don't necessarily need ones where you have to pay to get access to their list, because there's public lists available. But of course, your choice. Then there's well-found jobs. This is, I think, a relatively new one, because about 3-4 years back, when I was looking for remote jobs, I did not come across this one personally. But over here, you can see what kind of jobs they have. But in this case, you can see there's a location added. So pretty much all of these are from the US. If you're not in the US, then this is likely not for you. But if you scroll down, I believe they have, yeah, remote jobs. So let's go with, for example, remote jobs for product managers. We'll cross this one out and have a look at this one. So over here, remote possible. So this is likely not going to be properly remote. The company is going to prefer that the employee, in one way, form or another, or at least sometimes appears in the office, something like that. But I think they do have roles which are fully remote as well. But that basically means, you're going to need to have, you're going to need to do some more research to find the roles that you can apply to, right? So completely up to you. If this seems like a bit more effort and you don't want to go down this road, then you can simply not add this to your list. But yeah, the more the merrier. The more platforms you have in this list that you're targeting, the better your chances of success. So this is another one. And then there's FlexJobs. They have two options. One is free, I believe, but there's also a subscription option. And for that, what they're offering is basically no ads, scams, or junk in the roles that they basically advertise for. And over here as well, you've got different kind of options. So you can explore work from anywhere in the US, which basically means it's a remote job, not a work from anywhere job, as we saw in the previous video, the difference between the two. And then there's also work from anywhere in the world jobs available. So let's click on that, see the kind of jobs which are available over here. We can look for more filters. Job type. Let's go with temporary, for example. What's the schedule going to look like? Are you looking for part-time, full-time, career level, all of that? And then you can see what kind of jobs they are basically available over there. So have a look at like 5, 10, 15 of those and see the categories that they're basically having on their platform. If it seems like they have jobs for your particular niche, then of course add that to your list as well. Then we move on to remote.co. There's also remotely, but for some reason it was not opening up in my browser, so I'm going to skip that one. All right, so over here, you again have remote jobs by different departments, let's say. So you've got remote marketing jobs, developer jobs. They're also quite diverse from that perspective. So I would say pretty much anyone can add them to their list as well. And just a quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video by any of them. These are just list of platforms that I personally came across, so I don't have any biases for them, let's say. So yeah, you can go through this. And one nice thing they had was a list of remote companies. I believe this is like a free list, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, so these are the ones. So what you can do is basically go to the website, go to their careers page, and sort of like try to apply directly as well based on the kind of roles that they basically have available, or like subscribe to their careers page so that whenever they have a new opening, you simply just get a direct notification in your mailbox. Then you've got WeWorkRemotely. Again, as you can see, post a job for $300. This basically means their financial model again is to charge the employer and not the person who's applying for the job. So again, seems like a good fit. Then you can search for jobs. You can go with advanced job search, where you can basically add the criteria. So which kind of job you want, which category, which region, for example. I'm going to go with anywhere in the world, see if they have jobs for that. They do. You can select the category, design jobs, DevOps, sales and marketing. So they also have a broad spectrum of jobs available. And like I said, you can add your email to lists like these so that instead of you searching for jobs, you get notifications of that. So you can just read that on your phone. If you find something that's interesting, you can later come back to your laptop and just have a look at that job. Then there's RemoteOk, again, location filters. You're going to find more or less the same kind of filters. And in this case as well, one good thing is that they're basically advertising the salary for the role as well, which, as you saw, not all platforms do. I personally would recommend to only apply for those which are advertising that, because in many cases, if they're not advertising the salary bracket at the very least, then that means likely if you get to the finish line in the negotiation stages, they're going to leverage, or the negotiation is going to sort of depend on the location that you're applying for from. But again, completely up to you. Then there's working nomads. You can add your location here as well. They also have an anywhere filter. They have a lot of different categories as well. So that means for pretty much anyone watching this video, regardless of which background you're from, in terms of degree or skill set, you can look for jobs over here as well. Then there's Remotive, a lot of different categories that you can find remote jobs in over here as well. There's JustRemote, where you can click on remote jobs and find different kinds which are available. There is Pangian, or however that is pronounced. And this one has a nice list. So, okay, sorry, I think I was trying to find the list of remote companies through another platform, but this is the one that I actually particularly liked. More or less the same companies, but this is like a wider list of companies that you have available. You can go to the career pages, for example, and look for the roles that they have and apply directly as well. That's one. Then there's Jobspresso. Over here, you can choose a category. You're going to go full time. Then you can select location and select your niche and search for jobs as well. But again, as you can see, most of them are location bound. Some of them are worldwide. But the good thing is you can find the company which is advertising the worldwide role. And so in this case, it's Mozilla, which basically means Mozilla is one of the companies which hires for work from anywhere roles. You can add that company to your list as well over here. So instead of just going with the platform, you can add companies to the list as well. So yeah, there's JustRemote. We saw that. We saw Pangian. We saw Jobspresso, and then the last one is SkipTheDrive. And they also have a lot of different kind of roles. They're covering consulting, customer service, editor, finance, healthcare, HR, IT, marketing. So the main thing which you need to do in step one is, if you're a developer, you need to only go with the platforms in your list which are advertising for roles for developers. And if you have a specific salary bracket in mind, you can also then filter out the platforms which are not sharing that information with you. There can be a lot of different filters, but you need to have a list of at least 5 platforms. This is not an exhaustive list. I shared with you like 10, 12, maybe 15 of these platforms. I'll add their names and links to the description as well. But there are like a lot of other platforms out there as well. What you need to do is try to identify them which hire for your niche, and then select like 5 to 10 of those. And then in the second stage is where you basically add the job openings that they have. The ultimate goal with having a list is to basically track your progress, see where exactly you failed, see which platform you had the most success with. In my case, I had it with Crossover. At that time, I think I tried with like 3 platforms. Turing was one of them. Toptal was one of them. There were like 1 or 2 others. I do not really put a lot of effort in there. What I liked about Crossover in particular was that it was self-paced and you knew what exactly you needed to get done to get to the finish line. As I was sharing over here, I'll share that in more detail, but there's like the selection process advertised over there as well. So you can sort of get around it or sort of see which areas you lack in. It's more measurable basically. And I like that. But you can find other platforms like that too. The second stage, of course, like I said, is to understand the 5 or 10 platforms that you selected. What exactly is the hiring process? We will cover that in the later videos for each of the platforms individually. And as I promised in the beginning, I was going to share with you the names of 2 companies which hire for completely work from anywhere roles. And the names of those are, there's one which is Oyster. The other one is, I believe, something like Canonical. Yeah. Canonical. Let's go with careers. Let's go with Oyster. Okay, not this Oyster. Well, how do we filter this down further? Oyster, and let's go with remote jobs. Well, there we go. So who we are, work from anywhere jobs. Yeah, let's go with this one. So we've got two. Reject. Don't want cookies. Why Oyster Solutions products? Da, da, da. Not interested. Solutions. Not interested in that either. Can you just show me the jobs, man? Ooh. All right. Basically, I personally, whenever I was looking for roles which were open over there, and these two I share because I know people who actually work there, and that actually is a work from anywhere role. You get benefits and all those things, etc., as well. But I mainly look for, like, I discovered that through LinkedIn. And if you go to the LinkedIn page, you can see in the careers section which roles they have open. Right now, unfortunately, I can't seem to find their web page through which you can see which roles that they basically have open at the moment. Yeah, let's skip that. And then you have Canonical. This is a lot more streamlined, right? So you can see they have got a ton of roles available and in pretty much all the different kind of departments. Let's go with, for example, let's go with sales. I like sales. And yeah, so you've got a description of all the different roles which are available. Let's go with STR team manager. And as you can see, home based worldwide. So pretty much all the roles that they advertise are work from anywhere across the globe. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope that you found some value in that. If you did, or if you like a particular platform, or actually if you've worked with any of them or know someone who works in any of these platforms, I would actually like for you to comment and down in the video, because that is actually one of the most important filters that you can apply to the platforms that you apply through. For example, if you want to see if people actually have a good success rate in getting through these platforms, that is, if the jobs are actually credible, one of the ways that I personally use is I go to LinkedIn, I type in the company name and see um, if that company actually has people that got hired through them, because people would add that in the employment or the jobs section on LinkedIn. So you can use that to sort of also add further filters to your list. So best of luck and see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye.